Flying over their capital, death and destruction from the sky all day long. That is Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, second in the chain of command of the United States military, speaking publicly about the American bombing of a sovereign nation. The Pentagon's official Instagram account, operating as Depth of War, a rebrand Hegseth championed, posted a video of missile strikes set to an updated version of the John Lee Hooker song, Boom Boom. Another video mixed military hits with footage of hard tackles in football. The cracks of Major League Baseball bats are timed to explosions. A third video has the feel of a movie trailer set to orchestral music, featuring audio from Trump, Hegseth, and Rubio over footage of ordnance striking targets. Axios published a piece on Friday, one day ago, titled, "How America Gamified Its War with Iran." Its conclusion, the memes, the bravado, and the profiteering obscure a staggering human toll. 13 Americans dead. A preliminary Pentagon investigation determined the U.S. military mistakenly struck an Iranian girls' school with a Tomahawk missile, killing 168 children. Israeli strikes on Tehran oil depots left 9 million residents breathing toxic black smoke, oily rain falling on the city, skies dark enough to block the sun. And the Secretary of Defense posted, "This is not a fair fight." Here is the complete picture of what the Slate headline called "Playing Call of Duty" and what it is actually doing to the people in the war. Dr. Amy Young is a communication scholar at the University of Oregon who has studied MAGA rhetoric for a decade. Her analysis, published by The Conversation 3 days ago, applies a specific academic framework to Hegseth's public language, and it is the most precise analysis available of what is actually happening at these Pentagon briefings. Young identifies Hegseth's language as kill talk, a term from military sociology that describes verbal strategies typically used with new recruits to psychologically prepare them for combat by denying the enemy's humanity and framing killing as heroic rather than tragic. Kill talk serves a specific tactical purpose in a basic training context. It helps soldiers overcome the natural human reluctance to kill other human beings. It is not designed for press briefings. It is not designed for democratic accountability. It is not designed to build the kind of public understanding that sustains public support for a war over months and years. Here is the specific pattern Young documented. Hegseth's word choices across 15 days: death, killing, destruction, control, warriors, dominance, toast, hunted down, punching them while they're down. His sentences: turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. We play for keeps. President Trump got the last laugh. They are toast and they know it. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Young's analysis is precise. This is not ignorance of what democratic war communication requires. It is a deliberate refusal. Hegseth is asserting that no institution, not the press, not Congress, not allied governments, not international law norms, will encumber his speech with the requirements of democratic accountability. The "no stupid rules of engagement" line applies not just to the battlefield. It applies to the briefing room. The contrast Young identifies is stark. When General Dan Kane, Joint Chiefs Chairman, the actual senior military officer, spoke at the same March 4th Pentagon briefing, he began not with kill talk, but with condolences. He expressed deep condolences for the troops killed and wounded. He called them true examples of what selfless service means. He thanked their families. Then he answered questions carefully, in measured language, with appropriate hedges on operational details. Two men at the same podium. one speaking in the tradition of Marshall, Eisenhower, and Mattis, one speaking in the tradition of a video game loading screen. CNN's Stephen Collinson published the most comprehensive analysis of the Pentagon's social media operation 3 days ago, and it reads like a case study in modern wartime information management. The depth of war account, the boom boom video, the baseball bat explosions, the movie trailer mashup, the not a fair fight caption, CNN's description, a war being communicated to the American public through content that makes all missiles hit their marks and shows no images of casualties, either American or Iranian. No casualties. In a war with 13 American dead, 16 children killed in a school, 4,300 Iranians dead in the first 10 days, and 330,000 people displaced. The Instagram account shows missiles hitting targets. It does not show the port of Shuaibah, where 6 Americans died in a triple-wide trailer. It does not show the school in Minab. It does not show the 8 seafarers pulled from burning ships in the Strait of Hormuz. PBS NewsHour's Timothy Neftali, senior research scholar at Columbia University's School of International and Public Affairs, provided the historical context. From many presidents, the lesson seemed to be, don't allow the realities of war into people's living rooms if you can help it. The modern version of that principle, Neftali says, is that the images the public sees of warfare can resemble a video game, explosions seen lighting up the sky from afar, with the pain much more private. Video game. The exact comparison, from an academic at Columbia, published by PBS NewsHour before the Axios gamification piece confirmed the same assessment 1 day ago. Hegseth's response to journalists who report on American casualties: the press only wants to make the president look bad. When a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front-page news. He said this about the deaths of 6 American soldiers. Jake Tapper's response on CNN: that is a warped way of looking at the world, ahistorical. The news media covers fallen service members because they have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. It's a tribute. It's an honor. Hegseth called American war dead a few drones getting through. He said it on the podium. It is in the transcript. The gamification of the war has a theological dimension that Military.com reported 4 days ago, and which 30 members of Congress have formally requested the Pentagon Inspector General investigate. An anonymous non-commissioned officer submitted a complaint to the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. The complaint alleged that military commanders told subordinates the Iran war is part of God's plan, and specifically that President Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. Armageddon, the second coming of Christ, as a justification for a military operation, told to U.S. service members by their commanding officers. Representatives Jared Huffman, Jamie Raskin, and Chrissy Houlihan led 27 colleagues in formally requesting the DoD Inspector General to investigate whether military commanders made statements to subordinates asserting the Iran war is part of a religious prophecy, and whether such statements violate DoD Instruction 1300.17 on religious neutrality and prohibitions on improper proselytizing. The DoD IG investigation request is pending. The allegations have not been confirmed, but the letter asking for investigation has been sent. The complaint by the NCO has been filed, and the context, a defense secretary who has spoken publicly about the Iran war in terms of Christian dominance, whose rhetoric Young describes as framing violence in heroic terms detached from the realities of war, makes the allegation plausible enough that 30 members of Congress are demanding it be formally examined. Hegseth, asked about the Armageddon claims, did not directly address them. He said the press was asking gotcha-type questions. Axios's gamification piece closes with what it calls the between the lines. The content, the memes and bravado and baseball bat explosion videos are designed to crowd out of public consciousness. 13 Americans dead, hundreds more injured, dozens with traumatic brain injury, shrapnel wounds, and burns, per CBS News. A preliminary Pentagon investigation determined the U.S. military mistakenly struck an Iranian girls' school with a Tomahawk missile, reportedly killing 168 children. Israeli strikes on Tehran oil depots left 9 million residents breathing toxic black smoke. Oily rain falling on the city, skies dark enough to block the sun. The WBUR cognoscenti analysis by Andrew Carleen, former military officer, published 3 days ago, identified what the Call of Duty framing obscures strategically, not just humanely. Hegseth abolished the Pentagon office created to plan for minimizing civilian deaths in wars. He probably scoffed at it as woke. But, as Carleen notes, if you say you're fighting a war on behalf of a country's oppressed people, it's a good idea. In fact, it is an essential element of the war strategy to think about this problem. The killing of Iranian schoolchildren, Carleen writes, is both a result and a symptom of not only this indifference to human life, but this ignorance of strategy in war. The Call of Duty framing is not just aesthetically offensive, it is strategically consequential. Every civilian death that American bombs produce is a recruitment poster for the ideology America is trying to defeat. Every boom boom video posted to Instagram is a gift to Iranian state media. Every "they are toast" tweet is a reason for every Iranian who was ambivalent about the IRGC to reconsider. George Marshall created a post-war planning office in Germany in 1943, 2 years before the war ended. Hegseth abolished the Civilian Harm Minimization Office before the war began. The Axios summary stands. The memes and profiteering obscure a staggering human toll. 13 dead, hundreds wounded, 168 children, oily rain, skies dark enough to block the sun. And the official Pentagon Instagram account posted, "This is not a fair fight."